You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on WACH Fox. And good evening. Thanks for staying up late with us for your Chick-Fil-A Overtime. We get you ready for week 3 of high school football. And yes, we'll take a look back at week number 2, some interesting games. And of course, some games that weather played a big part in as well. Some didn't finish, had to play Saturday. Some were called a little bit early. So we'll talk about that. Kind of interrupted our plans to cover a lot of games, but that's okay. We'll continue to do what we do. Joining me this week, Savell Newton, former Gamecock quarterback, filling in for Jim Baxter, who had to take care of some other work duties, but he'll be back with us on next week. Well, Savell, well known in this community. I don't have to tell you who he is, former quarterback, played all the positions. He could do it all, but definitely used to coach some high school football when he was finished, so you are familiar with a lot of high school football. And of course, I want to talk, first of all, before we get to the highlights, about Irmo and Northwestern. I mean, a game that Irmo lost 59-0, and this game was close in the first quarter. I thought Irmo might have a little something. Northwestern was struggling, but it got away from them really quick in that second quarter and on through the fourth.
Well, what happened was they had that timeout, and after they came back in after that timeout, it got real ugly. They took 2 back-to-back, and then they came out. The quarterback made a throw, the pick 6, and then you had the punt. Right. After the punt, it was just like that, totally downhill from there. They couldn't never, Coach Kennedy couldn't never get the crew going back again.
Yeah, they was a little rattled. I thought, they came out confident. We knew that this team was probably not going to win if we were picking the game that way, which we don't. I would probably favorite Northwestern in this football game, but Jamison, their talented wide receiver / quarterback, got hurt early in the game, injured his ankle, and then it was really, downhill from there. They tried to keep him in the game, and every play he got tackled, he went down. But again, Irmo starting again on a sluggish start, 0-2, losing to York, then a big blowout against Northwestern. It's going to be interesting to see how Reggie Kennedy get those guys, but can he circle the wagons, if you will, rally the troops and bounce back?
Well, it's high school football, so you always can bounce back. You got to go in sometime and tweak your offense. You had the big playmaker that got, like I said, got hurt, so you probably had your whole offensive strategy built around that one player. You see why they tried to put him in the wildcat a little bit, line him up out wide and line him in the slot. They had the game plan ready for him. But, like I said, you come in the next week, just like in college football or professional football, any football, you go in, you go back to the drawing board and start over.
You have to flush it and move on. Let's go to the highlights now, shall we? Cardinal Newman and Porter-Gaud, that team down in the low country. Cardinal Newman's shocking some folks. I know the Battle of the Bluff got a big win, but Cardinal Newman's getting better. Michael Boulware, former Florida State Seminole, Spring Valley, is over there coaching, new coach in town. So this is a team, Savell, that's, it skis up. They're not great, but I like the effort in which they're playing with a lot of heart and a lot of soul.
Well, football is football. So, when they put their pads on just like your big schools in the state, like your Blythewoods and all your bigger schools, and they go out and they play football just as hard as the other kids.
Porter-Gaud wins this game in a close one overtime, 35-28. Heathwood and Ben Lippin. I mean, this is a team, Heathwood, we saw this summer. Again, not a very talented team. They don't have big numbers, don't have a ton of players playing. Ben Lippin is a team, they bring back a quarterback, 2 quarterbacks, Savell, and that's a big deal when you bring back, veteran quarterbacks. They got big play receivers. Ben Lippin does.
Well, when you got big play receivers and you have 2 quarterbacks that can get the ball to that big play receiver, you have a chance to put points on the board. In high school football, it's all about putting points on the board.
Yeah, and Brandon Hill, the linebacker, running back for Heathwood, they score 40, but they give up 64, and you cannot do that and expect to win. Spring Valley and Lawrence, I mean, this is the game that made Sports Center. The top plays on an old hook and ladder. The Valley, they always a rally, they say, in the Valley, but this is a good team. Taiwan Fulton, one of the best, I think, in the city. Ryan Lee, the quarterback, talking about a dual threat guy. I like what Coach Robin Bacon and those guys are doing over at Spring Valley.
Well, you look at Spring Valley. They got a great running back, and Coach Bacon going to have his team prepared each and every year. And so when you come against these guys, you got to be prepared to stop the run game. And if you can't stop the quarterback and the running back, it's going to be a long night for your defense.
Taiwan Fulton is a very nice player. I've had the pleasure of seeing this guy grow up, and we thought he was going to be really special. We had a big game against Lawrence. Again, that little hook and ladder. We're going to get a shot of that. Yes, look at this right here.
Wow.
What focus, what concentration, Bacon's son actually made the catch, pitches it back to Taiwan Fulton, and off to the hit house.
Looked like the Randy Moss. Remember the Randy Moss one that he did that time in the middle of the game, in the half? That was a big one.
That was a SportsCenter top 10. Chapin and Swansea. Speaking of another crazy game, did not get finished. They had to play it on Saturday, but I don't know where defense is in this city. But there's a lot of high school teams forgot how to play defense. You kidding me? 63-60? Chapin sneaks this one out over Swansea?
Yeah, well, like I said, you got to score points in order to be a high-powered team in the state. You got to score points. Just like Burns, they always been known to score points. So, and that's why they put so many championship titles up. So you want to put all the points on the board, and you'll get a win.
Logan Bailey has been phenomenal. Right now, he's my Player of the Year candidate, early Player of the Year. He's been nothing but successful, and he's been lighting the scoreboard up, throwing it, running it, however which way he wants to. Logan Bailey of Chapin been getting it done. Lexington. And excuse me, let's go to River Bluff. I'm sorry. Let's go to River Bluff. Thank you. Sorry about that. That's a check. Check. Opposite. Yeah. That's Dave Bennett and River Bluff and Columbia. Boy, Columbia has given up 146 points.
Wow.
49, and 47, Savelle. You know how many they scored?
I don't want to guess.
Me and you have scored as much as they scored.
Yeah, nothing.
How's that? No points? Come on, you're an offensive guy.
Well, it's all in system. It's not about the kids. You have to take whatever players you got and put a system. A lot of coaches, they don't want to make adjustments to the players that they have, and you got to be able to make adjustments to the squad that's available to you.
New coach in town for Columbia. Their coach went to Newberry, and because I know that's a tough job over there, but boy. 49, what is that? That'd be 98 plus 47. There you go.
My math ain't that good.
Was that 145, Amber? That's 145, and they scored none.
All
right, when we come back, we'll look at that team that scored 0, Columbia, as they take on the Falcons of AC Floor. We'll hear from the coach. We'll talk about this game coming up next, right here on your Chick-Fil-A Overtime. You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. And welcome back to Chick-Fil-A Overtime. Corey Miller alongside Savelle Newton, former Gamecock quarterback, and in studio for Jim Baxter today. A game that we're going to look at. I mean, we were kind of jokingly talking about a team. Let's see, 49-49, got to be at 98 because they won off from 50, right? So that's 98. Then you add 2, that makes 100. So 145 points given up, Columbia High School. Okay, and they have scored none. Now, former quarterback, offensive player, Savelle. High school football. Teams are, I'm sure when the scores are that way, they're putting backups in. How can 3 games, they're 0-3, you have not scored at all, not a special team, not a 2-point, not a field goal, nothing, safety, come on. I mean, 0, what's going on?
Well, it's like I said, man, it's all about some coaches. They really get caught up in their system and, not caught up in the players that they have. When I was calling plays at Brooklyn Casey, Dad came off almost 2 years of not winning the game. And I took them to the playoffs, calling plays. We put points on the board. Went to Keenan High School, worked with Coach Freddie Solomon and his offensive staff about a year ago. We took the 3rd-string quarterback and had him lead the Midlands in passing. It's just all about switching, making a couple tweaks to the offense that you have, and then you can put points on the board. We played against Columbia High. It was okay then.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Well, Coach Jason Bush comes from Calhoun County. He was a defensive coordinator down there, makes his way up here. The coach prior went to Newberry, who's been there he was in his 2nd year. And, of course, he left to become the defensive line coach at Newberry. So that's an issue in itself when you don't have a stability. And let's talk about that just for a moment, because I was talking to someone the other day. When you look at a team like Columbia High and C.A. Johnson and some of the other schools like that, they seem to don't have, because we'll go cover them, we look at everything, facilities, the practice essentials. It seems to me they lack a lot of that. And so sometimes it's hard to get coaches that want to come if they're not going to get the support. They may not have the support from the community, maybe from family. I mean, so it's a difficult place to try to get turned around.
Well, you know, when you go into the smaller areas and you get a lot of kids that's hungry to play football, because you had Mike Davis, former Gamecock running back that came out of Columbia High, Demario Jeffries, who started at linebacker for Columbia High. A lot of those guys who have recently departed the school. You got these younger kids looking up to them, trying to mimic what they done at Columbia High. So when you get there, you don't, like you say, you don't have the perfect shoulder pads. Some kids don't have cleats. They're out there running around in sneakers. So it's kind of hard to play football, especially without cleats.
Yeah, Willie Alford is a former Gamecock, played at Minnesota, now at Newberry, who was a coach there before that moved on. But you're right, another player that they had just a few years removed, maybe 4 years ago. Remember the wide receiver that was committed to Alabama?
Oh, yeah.
Was kicked out of the Shrine Bowl.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think he made his way to Texas Tech or somewhere like that. But
Corey Payne?
Yeah. But so they had great athletes, but not so much as of late. So it's going to be good. But let's talk AC Flora. Reggie Shaw, the coach over there, has been doing nothing but great things. It's a team that I thought would have a chance to win the state title last year. They lost 9 of 11 of their defensive starters. I had a chance to talk with him on yesterday after practice about this team and about the matchup against Columbia High. Coach, you 1-1 on the year and started kind of slow for you, a tough overtime loss to start the season, but you bounced back and got a win. And so you got to feel pretty good about where your program is right now.
Well, you just want to be getting better at this time, and we found a way to go over to a tough environment over Swansea and pull one out. So hopefully we're just on the right track.
You look at your team offensively, Green's a quarterback who's a senior, been around. Talk about his play. How has he been playing the first couple of weeks?
Well, he's had a great offseason. It starts there. He just worked his tail off in the weight room, and everything this summer that we've asked him to do, he's been above and beyond. He's the kind of kid that if you ask him to be there 9 times, he's going to be there 11. And so, his precision has really gotten pinpoint, and his arm strength has improved, and he's able to make the hard throws. Right. And so we just got to be consistent, catch the ball. We've had a lot of drops. So we've hopefully got better at the receiving core.
I watched some film, actually, even during practice. I was sitting out there watching some film of he runs around a lot, like he throws the ball very well on the run when he's outside the pocket as well.
He does. A lot of kids get rattled when you start moving their feet, but it seems to play in his favor. So we talked about doing some rollouts and some things to get him on the edge and give him a double option. Defensively, are you satisfied overall how you guys been playing, or if there's something wrong, what do you feel like you got to get better at? We got to eliminate the big play. Swansea and Clinton both, we were in 3rd and long and 4th and long, and we gave up a big play. So we've been focusing on finishing. We'll play well for 1 or 2 drives, and then all of a sudden give up something big. This week you're playing a Columbia team who's haven't been good, 0-3, giving up a ton of points. How do you keep it? And I know your kids know what's going on, so how do you keep them focused? And I could tell today in practice you was really making sure they was focused on this football game. Well, we focus on us. Every week we talk about getting better individually, every play. Take it one play at a time, take it one day at a time, and let's focus on us, and the rest will take care of itself. Well, it's a difficult task when you're playing a team that's not really good. It's hard on the coach to keep those guys focused, so we'll see how that happens on Friday at Memorial Stadium. When we come back, Pastor's Picks. Did my top 5 change? You got to stay tuned to find out. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. Welcome back to Chick-Fil-A Overtime. And it's now time for my Palmetto Wildlife Pastor's Picks. And yes, you're not going to extract these like Palmetto Wildlife, let them move snakes and alligators and all that stuff from your house, because my picks are so good, they're here to stay. Let's go to the full screen, Dustin Shower. Number 1, it's the Red Hawks of Westwood. This is a team that I told you Coach Summers been doing a great job. They continue to win. I like what they're doing. They're getting better. Offensively, the quarterback is nice. Defensively, they're playing better, even though they lost a lot of players last year. And I thoughts and prayers are with Mark Mickens, who was hurt late in that game on Friday. He is in stable condition following his neck surgery, or the surgery I should say, and we are praying that he makes a full comeback. Westwood, number 1. Number 2, boy, Chapin. Logan Bailey, the quarterback out there, Seville, looks like you. He's running it, he's throwing it, he's improvising. He's just leading the Eagles to victory each and every night, even though he's had to score 63 sometimes, but he can get it done. Number 3, Coach Stepp is working his way back. Josh Stepp out there. They lost to Scott Early and Westside, but they are back. They beat a very good Blythewood football team.
prove that they're going to be worthy in the 4A. So I'm taking Josh Stepp and the Lexington Wildcats at number 3. Number 4, welcome in Spring Valley, the Vikings. Coach Robin Bacon and crew getting it done. Hey, if you can make SportsCenter's top 10, you can make my Pastor Picks top 5. That's right. They're undefeated. A great win over Lawrence. They are in, sitting at number 4. And then number 5, Coach Morgan, I'm feeling you a little bit. I know you had lost a tough on the weather and all that stuff. Maybe hampered you. I don't know. I'm not going to make any excuses, Savelle, but they're good enough right now, the Blythewood Bengals, to be at number 5. And that concludes my Palmetto Wildlife Pastor's Picks. Now, you get the privilege of reading a bad list that need to be extracted, I'm sure, of Jim's picks. So there you go.
All right, let's make it go.
That was right.
Jim Baxter has the Westwood Redhawks with nominated Defensive Player of the Week in South Carolina, so I'm looking for that defense to step up. I kind of agree with him on that one. Next, he has second Lexington Wildcats. Coach, like I said, Coach Stepp. I met him, and he played over down at Newberry, and they're going to run an offense, and I feel that they will come out and win. Then you got Chapin Eagles with Coach Gentry. How can I go against a coach that coached me in high school? So I gotta agree with Jim on that one. The Blythewood Bengals. They're gonna come out. You know they're gonna get around that defense, and they're gonna come out to play. And then you got the Ridgeview Blazers.
That's hard for me.
The Ridgeview Blazers. I like
Perry
the Blazers.
Park's doing a great job.
Okay, Coach Park's going to have it. Marco, the big-time quarterback that they're expecting big things out of this week, is coming back. He's ready to play. He's going to suit up, and I'm pretty sure that offense is going to move up and down the field all night long.
Well, Perry, I'm sorry. I mean, you were almost ready to unseat Blythewood, but Blythewood beat Ridgeview. I mean, so Ridgeview went down in a big win over Goose Creek on the road. Yeah. And I had a hard time leaving them out. But Coach Parks, let me tell you something. You're so close to the Pastor Picks, you can almost touch it. So let's see what happens this week when they got to go play Irmo. And Irmo's going to look at the bounce back. So that's going to be a good matchup on this weekend. All right, we got to go to break. But when we come back, we're going to pick some games. I'm falling back, but I'm making some ground up here in week number 3. So we'll see how we're going to pick them. Dustin, Amberlin, they've been leading the charge. We'll see where we go from here. That's all coming up next right here on the Chick-Fil-A Overtime. You're watching Chick-Fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. And we're back. It's now time to get to pick 'em here in just a minute. So hold tight. I want to talk about Ridgeview, and I want to talk about Irmo. Two opposite of the spectrums right here. Irmo blasted last week by Northwestern, losing that ball game 59-0. On the other hand, Ridgeview traveled down to Goose Creek. Goose Creek, big, physical, saw them a couple weeks ago. This is a good football team that knocked out Dutch Fort. But Perry Parks went down there and got things done. And Savelle, you are familiar with Coach Parks, guys on that staff, the quarterback you coached while he was over there at Keenan. He transferred over there, right? This is a team that I liked early on. When you talk about energy, when you talk about changing the culture of a program, Coach Perry Parks has done that with Ridgeview. And I know the way you think and how you feel about sports and football, for sure, you got to like what they're doing over there at Ridgeview.
Well, you know, they got a lot of great coaches over there that came along with Coach. You know, the quarterback, he's a big physical guy, about 6'3", 6'4", with the arm. When I was warming up with him, because I was training him, teaching him, the kid can almost throw as hard as far as me. So, you know, he has that type of arm. It's going to be that type of weapon for Ridgeview. Then you think about some of the guys who, 2 guys on the staff played at USC, and one of the biggest guys there played with me at Marlboro County High School. So he's taking that winning attitude everywhere he goes. So I'm pretty sure he has something to do with it over there with them winning also.
Well, they are riding high over at Ridgeview, and they get ready to take on a team that's really probably feeling down and decimated a little bit with some injuries. That's Irmo and Coach Reggie Kennedy. We caught up with Coach Parks to talk about the matchup this Friday against Irmo.
Any game, you know, we want to play to our strengths. This will be the first time we get to see DeMarco's Eagle play quarterback. You know, defensively, we want to fly around the ball, make plays, and just have fun. And we want to be able to play a good game in front of our home crowd.
Yeah, it should be an interesting football game, looking to see who's going to get it done. Can Irmo bounce back? We'll see. Going to be a tough one. Now, it's that time to talk about the pick'ems. The Pastor Payne hasn't been doing too well. Let's see what the standings are right now before we get to the pickers. Here we go. Amberlynn Pennycuff and Dustin Martin, the two folks that don't get the face on the tube, are leading. Jim Baxter is tied 2. And me, I'm pulling up the rear at 9 and 8. Something's got to be wrong with that picture. I don't know about that, Seville. Something wrong with that picture, but we'll see. I'm finding a way to get it done. As these schedules tighten up, those people at the top are going to fall back. I heard somebody say that the first shall be last and the last will be first. And I shout amen to that saying. All right, let's look at the upcoming games. Chapin at Newberry. Seville, who you like?
I'm gonna go with Chapin. I can't go against Coach Gentry. I love Coach Gentry, and I know he's gonna bring his crew out there. The quarterback's gonna go out. He's gonna put about 30-something points up, hopefully on the Newberry Bulldogs.
I'm gonna take Chapin as well. They've been playing too well. I'm riding the back of Logan Bailey. Irmo at Ridgeview. This is gonna be an interesting game. We just talked about it. I know you're gonna take Ridgeview in this ball game.
Of course, I'm going with Ridgeview. Like I said, Irmo's best player. He's gimped up. His ankle's not gonna probably be strong enough to come out and do everything that they want him to do last week.
2 of my favorite coaches in the Midlands, but boy, I got to pick one, and that one's going to be Perry Parks and Ridgeview. Spring Valley at RNE. RNE got some good football players. Matter of fact, they led Westwood by 2 touchdowns at one point, but they lost. I like Richland Northeast, but I got to go with Robin Bacon in Spring Valley.
Well, I'm going with Coach Bacon also. That run game is going to be hard to stop with a dual threat quarterback and a great running back who they have over there.
Dutch Fork at Boiling Springs. Again, they hitting the road, another out of the Midlands game, but I think Dutch Fork is going to pick up their first victory. I'm taking Tom Knotts. I probably can't, nobody can remember the last time he lost 3 in a row.
Well, I'm going with Dutch Fork. I'm with you. He's not going to lose 3 in a row. That's just not going to happen. He's going up to the upstate into Dylan Thompson's territory, and they're going to go up there and they're going to get that they're going to get that win.
Fort Mill at River Bluff. I need more dogs. Well, in this case, he needs some more gators. But Fort Mill making their second trip down to River Bluff. They took care of White Knoll in a thrilling football game at the Battle of the Bluff. I think River Bluff going to find a way to win. I like Fort Mill, well coached, but I'm going with the Gators.
I'm going with Coach Bennett also. You know, like I said, great college.
We think alike.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bluff.
All right, they're finally Airport at Lower Richland. Man, Lower Richland got the best wide receiver maybe in the state, but I don't know. I'm going to take Airport.
I'm going with Lower Richland. I got to go with Lower Richland. Tommy Zimmer's was my receiver who's calling the plays over there with Coach Page, and I'm very familiar with those guys. And like you said, they have the best wide receiver in the state.
I have
and
to
Mr.
agree
Larry.
with that. Man, thanks for stepping in for Jim. I think your picks will be better than his. Just saying. For Dustin Martin, Amberlynn Pennycuff, Seville Newton, I am the Pastor of Payne. Have a great Friday. Thank you for joining us right here in our Chick-fil-A Overtime.